Now, speaking of states and speaking of the Constitution, 2 weeks ago on this show we had Jack Hunter, whose commentaries appear under the moniker of the Southern Avenger. He wrote a column about the Second Amendment case in Chicago, which is the case is McDonald versus Chicago, and challenging the ban on handguns in the city of Chicago. Now, shockingly to many of you, I've informed you that the Second Amendment does not apply to the states. I just read you the Massachusetts ruling that says that Massachusetts can, in its own narrow-minded and, I think, despicable fashion, enforce the gun laws that it's passing through its legislature on you people. And its Supreme Court has said, and I'm quoting here, that the Second Amendment does not apply. The right to bear arms is defined in the Second Amendment, does not apply to the states, so Massachusetts can regulate who can have firearms and how those weapons are to be stored. The state of Massachusetts High Court ruled last Wednesday. And this is an interesting case here coming from Massachusetts. So Jack wrote this piece called Gunning Down the Constitution. And he got a lot of flack over it. You're fake, you Southern Avenger, you commie. You're a gun grabber just like that Church and that Gutzman character. We know all about you fakes. And Jack stood by his guns, and Dr. Gutzman actually came to his defense, wrote a letter to the editor of one of the publications that the piece appeared at. Now I read today that some woman named Allison Bricker has challenged Jack to a debate tomorrow over the 10th Amendment. I gotta find out where I gotta listen to this at, and I wanted to call Jack and give him a chance to give us a preview. Jack, how are you, brother?
Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. So you heard the setup here. So who is this Bricker woman, and why did you accept the challenge of this debate, and where's it going to be?
Well, I'm actually looking very forward to this. This debate's going to take place online. It's at libertypulse.com.
Okay.
It's arranged by Kurt Wallace, who runs Liberty Pulse. Allison Bricker is a friend, not a personal friend, but a friend of liberty, a friend of freedom.
Okay.
The reason I'm looking forward to this debate, she runs a website called smargus.com.
Mm-hmm.
We are experiencing, Mike, you are on your radio program talking to listeners, a disagreement amongst our political friends, conservative libertarians,
right,
about the Second Amendment.
Right.
This woman, Allison Bricker, wrote a very thoughtful, detailed counter-argument to my Gunning Down the Constitution column, basically arguing that the Second Amendment should apply to the states. So I'm looking forward to this debate to explain to her that the 10th Amendment supersedes that the way our Constitution was set up,
right,
that the most power resides at the states, not the federal level. I'm looking very forward to it.
So is this going to be inside a chain-link fence Texas steel cage? Is there going to be oil or mud involved here? You guys going to be doing this on the phone? How you gonna make this happen?
A bloodthirsty cage match, if you will, something like that. I'm not anticipating that. I think this is a conversation that's long overdue amongst conservatives and libertarians because this issue is so important. Let's put this in a different perspective. You had a gentleman on earlier from Houston. He has the Houston Beer Party, and he talked about he was from Texas, and he encouraged you to keep up the good fight in relation to the Chicago gun ban.
Right.
How many conservatives remember a few years back when there was an illegal alien in Texas who had murdered some people in Texas and he was going to be executed? And the United Nations stepped in and said that that was violating his human rights, and the Bush-Cheney administration sided with the UN. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. What conservative would say, well, you know, the UN is just looking out for the individual rights of all of us, and we should sort of, let them have their way and let them supersede the Texas law. I don't know very many conservatives who would agree with that. They think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, and and there was another case in Louisiana too. It was the Kennedy case where this nut job had this kid had murdered and raped this child. And we had convicted him here, and a jury of his peers had sentenced his smarmy, skanky ass to die in our electric chair or through lethal injection. And the Supreme Court, Anthony Kennedy, ruled that, well, we have international precedents here. We can't be running around executing child offenders here. This is against international law. International law, he cited, in a similar instance here. And, of course, what conservative didn't say, well, that's a decision that the people of Louisiana ought to make, right?
That's exactly right, and that's as it relates to the Second Amendment or the way our Constitution is set up, or even things like world government, the UN. We have to decide what kind of government do we want: the government closest to us or further away, whether centralized in Washington D.C. or, heaven forbid, the United Nations. And that's what is at the heart of this debate. Somebody's going to regulate firearms.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm a gun rights guy. So are you. So is Kevin Gutzman. Do we want it to be our local authorities or the federal government who can make guns illegal for everybody or make them legal whenever they see fit? I think that's where the real tyranny, the fear of tyranny, that's the problem. That's what we need to avoid.
And Mel Gibson said it best in the Patriot movie. Why should I trade Why should I trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away?
That's exactly right. But looking forward to this debate. It's going to be a friendly debate. It's something conservatives, libertarians, liberty-minded people need to start thinking about. Very important.
You can listen to it online tomorrow. Is that 2:30 Eastern? Oh, 3:30 Eastern.
It's 3:30 Eastern Standard Time.
And that's going to be Jack Hunter versus Allison Bricker. I like this poster here. You look good in a fedora.
Well, thank you very much.
We will link to this at MikeChurch.com if you people want to surf on over tomorrow afternoon and listen to Jack and Allison debate. And maybe we'll even have some highlights for you on Wednesday's program. All right. Well, go get them, Tiger. And we're looking forward to you coming out on the triumphant end of this. Now, don't let us down.
I won't. I'll do my best.
I mean, you are the Southern Avenger. I mean, be genteel and all this, but you cannot let a member of the fair agenda get the best of you.
I'll be a gentleman, but I'll win. I promise.
All right, Jack. We'll talk to you later. Good luck.
Take care, Mike.
All right, that's Jack Hunter there, the Southern Avenger. And you heard the debate's been set up now.